Good afternoon. Tony Dottino doing my live with Tony with you from Cape Coral, Florida, staying at a Marriott resort for a week's vacation. And I still like to do my live with Tony's. The internet's working, so let's get to work. We're talking about stress today, and my goodness, if you can just put on the TV or listen to somebody talking about the news or a situation, even as I'm sitting at the pool. People were talking about how it's great to get away from their day-to-day lives and their jobs and, in one case, their family, and the different things in our life that cause us to be a little bit anxious and stressed. But here's the thing I want to make a point as it relates to memory, right? When we are in a thoughtful mode, we're trying to remember things or focus on something, and we get ourselves into a stress where we're spiking the cortisol in our bodies. We get this, what we call fight or flight. And the hormone of the cortisol, the more of it we have, the more dangerous it becomes and the more poisonous it becomes, like a toxin in our body. But it also creates memory interruptions. It causes us not to focus on what we may be trying to accomplish in the moment, and it detracts from what we're attempting to do. I always like to use the example of misplacing your eyeglasses or your iPhone or your keys, and all of a sudden it occurs to you, I need to get my iPhone or I need to go get my eyeglasses because I want to read something, and you find yourself getting uptight or stressed about it. And the more that you do that, the more you create what I call pattern interruptions within our own thinking process that causes you to take your focus away from it. And what you really need to be able to do is bring yourself down, just kind of de-stress yourself. So here I'm reading in the current issue of Mind, Mood, and Memories, one of my favorite summary newsletters that we get. And in this particular issue, they have an article on need to de-stress. Try these strategies to help to back up in a moment. And so I thought it was really appropriate, especially as I briefly put on the news this morning and listened to a whole bunch of national things that are stressful as you listen to them. God, where is everything going? Is how do you step back and take a moment to unstress yourself, so you stop the cortisol, you get to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. So this starts out, put together a de-stressing toolkit and start by being proactive in shaping your life and thinking of what you want to accomplish and thinking of the things that you want to achieve. So says the Massachusetts General Hospital newsletter. Try to respond to a difficult situation as it's a problem that you need to be solving. So it's like, okay, this confrontation, this comes up, or it's a problem. Now, here's an interesting thing I'm trying to find. If it's a problem that you can't solve, or it's a problem that, as people say, goes out of your control, then you got to just say, okay, what are the consequences? Why am I making this so important to myself? And what story am I creating around it that's causing me to be stressed about it if I have no control over what needs to be done to take it out of my life? And so as I listen to some of the news, one of the things I've stopped doing is I'm cutting back on how much news I listen to. It can be very stressful depending upon what time of the day it is and what news station you're listening to. And I try to get some diversity, but it doesn't matter what diversity I get. Sometimes it's like, God, what's happening here? And so you want to back up and you just want to, why am I making this so important? What am I making it mean? And if it's a problem you can solve, it's something that you can deal with, and think about, okay, I got the initial shock of stress. Now what I need to do is figure out how I'm going about doing the problem and solving this burden that I've got in my life. So don't look at it as a setback. Don't look at it as, oh my God, the world is going to cave. Look at it as, so what can I do about this? What can I at least take control? So I put myself into a creative action focus mode. If the situation cannot be resolved, then just say, okay, I'm moving on. Now, here are some things that the article suggests that you can do immediately. First of all, Take a breath. My goodness. Wow. It's amazing that when you get yourself stressed, you can almost feel your lungs and everything, your whole body just tightens up. So take a pause and just say, wow, I'm just going to take a deep, and you know what? Take 3. It's amazing just bringing some oxygen into your lungs and just changing your whole muscle structure and the tension response. And then use that to reevaluate the situation and just get yourself to stop and reflect on the situation and just say, maybe this isn't such a critical situation right now. Maybe this isn't something I'm going to have to deal with right now. Just let me back up a little bit. Sometimes we exaggerate what the situation is, and we make it into a mountain, right? You've heard the expression, we take a mountain out of a molehill, so we take a little blip, and we make it into a big deal. So slow it down a little bit. Slow your thinking process down a little bit, and the breathing exercises help you to do that. So how we begin to de-stress? First of all, by breathe. God, I'm doing some physical therapy for post-surgery I had, and it's amazing. The therapist's first exercise she's got me doing, it seems so silly, is breathe, and breathe in, feel your stomach go up, and not your chest, so lighten this up and get more from your stomach. While you're breathing out, use that 5-second pause for a meditation, or reflect and come back and calm your thoughts and what you're making this to be. And as I'm calming down. Sometimes my energy level in these is so high and whatever, I'm just calming down. And what you're trying to do is loosen up your muscles, your joints, especially your shoulder, your neck. My goodness, my neck, my jaw joints here. I feel stress right up in here. I feel it in my neck and my shoulder. So try to relax your body. Try to just let it fall and just kind of like almost put yourself into a hypnotic stage of I'm just not going to let this get to me. I'm just going to let this go. Now, a second thing they talk about here is that if it's a particular situation or person, and they're important to you, stop and pause for a minute. Well, where might they be? What's causing them to be in the state that they're in? And therefore, sometimes, I get my own tension and whatever, and I transfer that to people around me, and I don't want to do that. So one of the things you can read on the other side is someone else is creating a stressful situation, and that's coming on to you. So what you want to do is step back and consider when the stress level starts to rise, how do you stay calm and just listen to the other person and where they may be coming from? Sometimes we make judgments so quick. I always remember creativity exercise. You make judgments when listening to others' ideas, and you make quick judgments. Oh, that's not going to work. Sometimes we listen to others and we make a judgment and say, and we get stressed over it. So slow down on the judgment process. And don't judge. Try to take in as much. I know my other half sometimes to me say, would you let me finish before you give me an answer? So slow it down and let somebody finish and explain to you where they may be at instead of trying to quickly, well, here's a solution or here's an answer. And you get stressed up in the conversation trying to help them. Instead, you both rise your stress levels and both of you start to short circuit and lose focus. And sometimes it's just, we think it's just going to let it out. And you know what? I'm stressed and I'm just going to blurt it out. And that sometimes is the worst thing we can do, because you blurt something out, you say something you don't mean, and then you regret it later, and then you pay the price 10 times over. Those are not good situations we ever want to be in. So we do want to be sensitive, and we do want to be careful. as we get into those kinds of situations where we want to blurt an answer out, we want to blurt a response out, we want to just give our opinion on something, and sometimes we exacerbate the situation, we make it worse. And so just follow some of these quick de-stressing techniques and try to bring yourself back into a calm state, as I've tried to do during my life with Tony, which is unusual for me, but I wanted to demonstrate that we have the abilities to keep ourselves in a calming state when faced with different things we're hearing, seeing, being a part of, so that we can tap into our focus, our memories. Hey, I've seen this before. Maybe this is how we can get a solution around this. Or I've seen this conversation before, and it goes in a circle and gets me all tense, and so maybe I want to back up and reflect on how I'm processing the conversation differently. And try some of these things out, because what we do know is excessive stress to us, our bodies begins to hurt not only just our memories, but our whole immune system and our ability to fight off the things that we may need to bodily fight off within ourselves. And I am going to be going off to a nature preserve in a few minutes and pick up my next live with Tony on Wednesday. So have a good week. And off and going we are, and moving towards our 25th USA Memory Championship.